Hey everyone, Melanie Willard here, and Monday I created a video about how to support people going through depression or suicidal ideation. And today I wanted to do a bit of a continuation with that and just share a few tips on what to say, what not to say to people who are suicidal. So the first thing as far as what to say is just, that let them know that they're not going crazy. This is a result of deep pain, of things from their past they may not have worked through. Maybe there's chemical imbalances, but just, reassure them that they're not going crazy. Let them know that they're not alone, that you're going to be there to support them and help them however you can. But if you do say that, make sure you do follow through with it, because there's nothing worse than people saying, oh, I'll be there for you. And then 2 weeks later, they're completely alone and everybody that's supposedly going to be there for them are gone. And that'll just make them feel even more alienated and like nobody cares. And what's the point of me going on? They may not see that things are going to get better, but like every storm in life, they do pass. This pain is temporary. It will come to an end one day. Don't know when, we don't know how, but we're going to be here with you and we'll make it through together. Encourage people that they have plans and purposes in their life that they need to accomplish, and that there is a hope, there is a future for them, and to not give up. You have your doubts that somebody is suicidal, don't beat around the bush. As I said earlier, just get to the point. And don't be afraid to just say, are you suicidal? Do you have a plan? Do you have a date? And if they say yes to, well, the first one, obviously, you need to make sure that you get to the hospital, you bring them to their doctor, or you call 911. But at that point, you're now responsible for them until they find proper care. A couple of tips on what not to say. The first thing would be, I know how you feel. There's nothing that minimizes people's pain and suffering more than that. And every situation is different. Every interpretation of life is different. The way we grew up is different. Our personalities are different. So you may have a certain understanding and ability to have compassion for people, but you don't really understand because you've never walked their entire life in their shoes. And I just encourage people to say, you know what? I have an idea what you're going through. I also went through depression. Like I would say, I've been through depression for a good dozen years and I was suicidal, but I don't know what you're going through. What's your story? Tell me about how you're feeling. And that way it brings it back to them. They now know that you likely understand more than maybe somebody who hasn't been through it, but it doesn't become about you. It still goes back to being about them. The other thing is just to not make people feel bad about being where they're at. They don't want to be depressed. They don't want to be suicidal. And so don't inflict guilt further by saying, oh, people have it worse all over the world. What's wrong with you? Why don't you just get over it and get happy already? I know it's frustrating for onlookers who don't understand, because you just want people to be happy. You just want people to be well, but it's not their fault if there's imbalances in their brain and if there's issues they haven't dealt with. It's not something you can just snap out of. To never say that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, because first of all, suicide is never a solution. And I tend to tell people to say something more like, suicide is a permanent act to temporary suffering. And that way they know that, okay, it's a permanent, decision that they make to temporary suffering. So they know that their suffering is temporary. Instead of saying, to a temporary problem, no, it's suffering is causing the issue. Another thing is, why are you so sad? You have everything going for you, as if they don't know that. When I was in high school and college, I had it all. I had a great family, great friends. I was successful in school and had, everything going for me. And yet I was so depressed. I was so sad, this deep, deep hurt and just sadness inside. And I was lonely and I felt alone and I felt misunderstood. And I remember feeling like, if I don't even understand why I'm like this, because I should be happy, I should feel good like everybody else feels, but I didn't. And that made me feel a further sense of frustration, alienation, and just pulling back from people. Like, if I don't understand my own pain and suffering or the reason for it, then how is anybody else supposed to understand? So I never reached out for help. And that's really dangerous. don't ever make people feel like, you know, they can just snap out of it, because they can't. The last tip I want to give you is just make sure you're not the only person helping, because should something go down and they decide to end it, I don't want you dealing with the guilt of, you know, what did I do, or what could I have done different, or how could I have missed this, or, you know, she did say that and how did I not clue into that, right? And so nobody needs to live with that guilt. And even if people experience hardship and or, you know, if you've hurt someone indirectly and they start having unhealthy coping mechanisms, or they decide to end their life, we don't spoon feed people drugs. We don't put a gun to people's heads. And it's really important that we never take the blame, that we don't carry that guilt with us. Even if somebody is in a car accident and you weren't the one driving, and you think, well, I was supposed to be driving. Maybe if I had been driving, this accident wouldn't have happened. And, you know, we can go through all those scenarios over and over in our heads. Well, I encourage people to go through that for like a day. And then you need to move on. You need to stop asking those questions and tormenting yourself with the what ifs, and accept what happened, and then just forgive yourself. You know, release yourself from that guilt and that bondage that is kind of coming on you, because nobody deserves that. And the people that have passed on, they're not holding anything against you. They're not holding any grudges against you. So don't hold any against yourself. So I hope these tips were helpful. If you have any questions or comments, or if you have something you'd like to share on a personal level, make sure message me anytime, or you can just always put questions below and I'd be happy to help if I can, and if not, I'll find someone who can. So take care, and thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. I think a lot of people could benefit from this information. So we'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.